I'm Isyander.
And I'm Koda.
And today you got us red-handed.
He's literally got a red hand.
Yep, the Crimson Fists won. And that means it's time for a new poll, and the commissars get to stay in the loser's bracket. We'll get to them later at
Poor
some
guys.
point. I'm sure they won't.
Or will they go into the pit?
No. They just...
Well, this is the loser's bracket.
They just stay there. That's how this works. New poll, new options, and this one's a
Is there like a sub-losers poll?
No, because then it just keep going and going and going, and like the Tau would exist in the
We have
deepest levels of that.
A loser fractal.
Anyway, this is a good poll. It's going to be very fun. I have no idea how this one's going to go. It's fully up to you. The options are the Death Watch, Terminators, the Dark Mechanicum, who I have seen everywhere since the Vashtor episode, so that's kind of on me. And finally, the Ecclesiarchy. These things we consistently keep running into these things.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. How are we gonna untangle the Ecclesiarchy in the span of an hour?
We'll see.
Will not.
We will see. There's a lot to the Ecclesiarchy. You can keep just breaking it up and
the
breaking it up.
video will
and breaking
be
it
at
up.
least an hour and a half.
But yes, it should be fun. You guys know the drill. You vote in the comments by picking a choice. Top 3 get made. Last one goes into the loser's bracket with the commissars, and they may see the light of day. They probably will at some point, but that's fully up to you. Now it's time to get into the previous... Actually, no. Before we get into the previous poster boys for 40K, because these guys were actually like... Before the Ultramarines, these were the guys who were on the cover of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. These were the other Blue Marines who were on everything.
It's funny. They are blue still.
Yeah, I mean, no, look. First edition. Look at them.
Look at them.
Look at them.
They look at we caught them red-handed.
Yeah, and so
that's going to be the joke of this video.
Of course, they were always going to be blue on the cover, but we have to take a moment to thank our sponsor, you guys. That's the only reason we're able to make this show, and that's by the people who've headed on over to patreon.com/IsyanderandKoda. You don't just head on over there and help us make the show, though. You get a bonus episode every single week, as well as priority voting, so they're kind of like the swing state, if that makes sense. Their vote counts a lot.
Yeah.
And then live streams and a bunch of other perks, all while helping us keep these lights on and get more lights in the future. So if you want all of that and more while helping us keep this show running, you can head on over to patreon.com/IsyanderandKoda. This is how we keep the VPNs away. For those of you already there, thank you very much. For those of you signing up as I speak, thank you as well. There may be a day the VPNs show up, but it's not today.
This is the only shark you'll see surfing on our videos.
Now let's get into it.
And I don't know. I don't have any Nord jokes.
These guys, despite being like the generic Marines, they don't fall into like the typical blueprint Marine kind of a situation. Like the guy currently in charge is a Pedro.
They're blue.
Well, yes, but they don't fall into the typical like pick Gilliman out of a lineup of similarly tall dudes. Like, come on, like he's nondescript. There's not very many. Like, you take away his laurel wreath. And you take away his massive size, and he kind of blends
in with the rest of the Ultramarines.
These guys, they're very fun, though they're very easily forgotten because they're the ex-poster boys. And so when you're a poster boy, and this is something that's happening to the Ultramarines right now and happened to them previously, you kind of lose a little bit of personality because you have to be the most broad spectrum appealing thing.
You become default.
So you can't be you can't go too far in any direction, Like you have the Dark Angels who are far into the Knights of the Round Table aesthetic, and that is so cool, right? And then on the other side, you have the Black Templars who've fully gone into the crusading shtick, and that's so cool. But if you are, for lack of a better term, milquetoast, if you're like the vanilla ice cream of the setting, you can't really do too much. Now, the whole chapter thing allows them to do a lot of fun stuff. But on the surface level, a lot of people kind of just chalk up the Ultramarines as boring.
Guy.
Yeah, and these guys used to get that too. The Crimson Fists used to just get boring. You just kind of, this is how I got into the setting, and now I'm going to run away as fast as I possibly can. They had a very...
I'm going to go find something else to do now.
Yeah, they had a very easy color scheme to paint. I mean, it's literally blue, red fist. If you want to denote somebody important, 2 red fists.
Whoa.
This is an
double fist.
Yeah, this is an Elementor situation. They're very, very, very easy to spot. However, they're actually pretty interesting now that they're no longer the poster boys. And they've always been kind of interesting. It's just people gloss over them really, really, really hard.
They were the default for so long. People gloss over some of the Ultramarines' weird idiosyncrasies just because they're default nowadays.
Exactly, and there's a lot of fun to be had there, but this isn't an Ultramarine episode. They go way, way, way back. They're related to Dorn, the big beefy brick who feels emotions, but man, oh man, does that not change what he's going to do. He hates clocking in, but he's going to clock in anyway. That is the best way to describe Dorn.
He'll stick himself in a glove over it later.
Yes, they come from the Second Founding, and they are, well, it's where they get the whole preoccupation with fists, because they're descendants of the Imperial Fists. Like, all of them have this gimmick to some end. And they are... So when this big book was written called the Codex Astartes, there were rules set out for every single Space Marine ever. You cannot have too many Space Marines in any one place, because no one man should have all that power, is effectively what it boils down to. And there is a bunch of subsections, and it's a big rule book on how to be a Space Marine. A lot of people didn't like that, because no, you don't get to do that. We're a family.
You can't split me up.
Yeah, exactly. And Dorn's sons, the Imperial Fists, really didn't take too well to it, with Dorn himself properly almost starting a second heresy about it.
Really?
He dug his heels in deep. He dug his heels in real deep. He did not like that one bit. But the thing that sticks out about them is, and to this day, Dorn's sons still break that book all the time. Like, you look at the Black Templars, and they read the first page. It says, there is a limit on how many people can be in a chapter unless you are on a crusade. To which they said, fine, we will never stop crusading. And so we actually don't know how many Black Templars there are, because they are always crusading. You never see their full force. Mm-hmm. And technically speaking, there is no cap, because they're on a crusade. Mm-hmm. And they do. It's not like they're on a crusade by technicality. They show up with extreme prejudice every single time. So all of Dorn's sons didn't take to the book very well. These guys kind of did.
Oh.
Yeah, these guys they stuck out from the rest of their brothers as being kind of younger. Mm-hmm. A lot of the older ones didn't want to split because they had this bond from before the heresy with Dorn. Yeah. These were the younger ones, a little bit more level-headed, and they thought, it's a good idea to follow this book. I'm not going to lie, I know Gilliman. Gilliman's got a good head on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. The only one who's got a better head on his shoulders is Dorn. So I'm just going to follow this. This is a very, very, very good idea. And it was formed after, well, a Patreon episode, Pollux. Mm-hmm. And he was their first chapter master. He was very, very cool. Hero of the heresy. He traumatized Perturabo lightly, for lack of a better term. And did a bunch of other stuff that we can't get into this episode. But, and he also did like a fun, Carl, like that with Dorn. He did that with Dorn. And like they had like a little like a blood pact thing going on.
I say the whole like...
Yeah. But like the whole slice hand, like...
I say.
Ye old blood pact.
The ye old blood pact.
Yeah, exactly. And so already they're off to a good start, because that guy's very level-headed, very important. And he's an inductee in the Hall of Tall. He's very large. I mean, he's very large.
I mean,
he's
that seems
smart.
to be the case with any important person in this.
They tend to be a little
entire IP, honestly.
Yeah. Every time there's an important enough Marine, they do wind up being almost as tall as a Primarch, and I'm kind of sick of it. But then, like, Tiburos exists, and I'm suddenly okay with it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll see a new piece of art about Tiburos, and I'm like, no, it's fine.
That's fine.
It's
the
fine.
man with chainsaw hidden blades. That's fine.
I'll see like another piece of art of Astaire, and I'm gonna go, yeah, he belongs in the Hall of Tall. I'm okay with this. This is fine. But he is one of those figures that is almost beyond reproach in Imperial history. And so his sons take after that. Well, not his sons, but the chapter that would follow in his footsteps take after that really, really well. They are super fleet based. So like a lot of the Imperial Fists are. I'm looking at you, Black Templars, because that fleet is so funny to me. And they are, like all Imperial Fists, known for their stick-to-itiveness. If we want to put it very nicely, stubborn. They're so stubborn.
Stick-to-itiveness, I think, is being kind.
They will dig their heels in and will not move. And almost, throughout all their story, they're almost always outnumbered. And they still managed to survive.
Well, because I shot rebar into the ground, and then I built a foundation over that rebar by pouring concrete around my legs around that rebar. Good luck moving me.
They're also usually fighting orcs. which does just leave you almost always outnumbered. It's very rare for you to have more numbers than the
It just
orcs.
kind of is a function of what they are.
Yeah. And so that's very cool. They're very likable in that way. The biggest knock against them is the fact that they're kind of, that Dorn tendency of you give me a job, I will do it. It's been used on other Marines,
Okay.
which, is fine because one of them was like maybe worshipping chaos, so that's okay. Sure, why not? One was a straight up pacifist chapter.
Ah.
Like they went against some alien, and whatever it did shocked them so much that they swore to never pick up arms again.
That... Well, now I want to know what broke a Space Marine chapter that badly.
And they held to it to their last man because as the Crimson Fists were descending on them, they didn't defend themselves. Yeah. Even their current chapter master goes, oof, that was a little rough.
That's a little overkill, wasn't
And
it?
I mean, I kind of don't like that either because the potential for a pacifist sect of Space Marines is very interesting. You could also use it to set up something really like there's a lot of good villains you can set up by having them shock Space Marines out of fight. Do you know what it takes to shock a Space Marine?
That's literally what they're built to do.
There's so much potential there, and it's like, no, they were used to show that the Crimson Fists can do it if need be. Yeah.
It's like if you bashed a gun hard enough and it stopped firing, not out of the firing pin moved, just, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, that's...
Like, that was its one purpose. It was built to do the murder thing.
As you can imagine, the Inquisition saw that and went, oh, these guys are great. And so they're buddy-buddy with them. And the Death Watch also use them pretty frequently. So that's kind of where they fall. As you can imagine, when they bump into other Marines, Space Marines don't like Space Marine killers. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's always like a,
What did you... Why?
Why?
Those were our brothers, and if you can kill other brothers, then you can kill me brothers.
Unless they were already all the way with Chaos. It's one thing to kill a Chaos Marine, because they've already done the thing.
They've already done the thing.
They're already there. They already have like the mark on their forehead, the whole nine. They either smell really bad, are wearing basically no clothing, are shouting the entire time, or are like a dodecahedron running at me. We knew they were chaotic. There's no saving them. But whenever a loyalist gets crushed, it's always like, It leaves people with a very bad vibe for good reason, including their own chapter master.
Yeah.
They got a planet known as Rin's World, which, this is so funny.
Rin's World?
Rin's World. Look at this map. Do you see how, frankly, nice it looks there?
Yeah.
It's a paradise. It is so pleasant, they genuinely cannot recruit from there.
Really? Just because out of... Listen, I'm on vacation.
You've seen most Space Marine worlds. It's Swamp Death World, or like Fire Death World, or Ice Death World, or
And this one's just nice.
This one's just nice. And so they scratched their heads about this for a moment and said, okay, find the nearest Death World. We will recruit from there and show them Rin's World as like the dream of what Dorn's work could achieve. Yep. And so they just recruit from a nearby Death World because space...
And then the entire flight back home, they're showing them pictures of this paradise world, just like, this could be you!
Yeah, this is what we're fighting for. That's so funny to me. It's so... And the thing about it is, they didn't fully explain the whole process to this Death World. So they... How do I put it? They set up a ceremonial base of operations in the Hellblade Mountains. And the people of, like once every generation, the people of this planet will come together holding a ceasefire, because it's just a massive war world effectively, and hold the Festival of the Bloodied Fist to attract the attention of the sky gods. Yep. They do the trading for them. They have a full bore fight between everyone who's of age. There's all kinds of trials left, right, and center. They have to scale a mountain, the whole nine. They have to go fight this like 30-foot catfish called a barb dragon and win against that. And if they do, you stick your hand in and, oh, look, Crimson Fist. Haha. That's That's Festival of the Bloody Fist.
Did they not? They really explained nothing, because not only did they not explain, oh, we're recruiting you to turn you into a weird man weapon thing, they also just didn't explain anything past like the Stone Age to them.
Nope. No need. I love the Imperium so much. I love the Imperium so much. Because they're, by the way, not that far from Rin's world, which is veritably pleasant.
I mean, it has to be close for them to decide we're going to recruit.
And they're just
from
like,
there.
nope, that's fine. We won't let them know. It's fine. This works out better anyway. So they take these kids in. They do the whole Space Marine routine to them, and they actually bother to respect the rules, and they have every single rule set out in the Codex Astartes. Everything is numbered as it should be, except for the very, very first company, which is numbered at 128 instead of 100, because reasons we'll get into later. But
Okay.
it's
I'm
pretty cool.
sure it's symbolic reasons.
They also like these guys. They're from Dorne, yes. This is the side of Dorne that just vibes with Guilliman, because they even have custom heraldry to denote their like position, rank, or what they should be doing in combat.
These are proto Ultramarines.
No. You got to remember Dorne and Guilliman. Oh, that's a hell of a team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good team. And I feel like
I mean,
these
blue
guys,
and yellow, it's just such a good color combo.
such a good color combo. These guys show that the best, because just look at them. They're fully committed.
They're organized.
They're fully committed. They actually have quite a few holidays and sacred relics, which is not common. I mean, it's not common for Space Marines to do all this pomp and circumstance, but Dorne's kids in particular tend to do this kind of stuff a lot. And like, you can't blame them per se, because like they have a vial of Dorne's blood. It's 10,000 years later. It's solid, right? Except for this one holiday where it turns back to liquid.
Okay.
Yep. And it does this on the day of foundation, which is the day their chapter was founded.
Do they do they shove it in the microwave and reconstitute it?
It just does
It
that.
just does it by itself.
It just does that.
Okay.
Yep.
It just does that.
Yeah, they have all kinds of rituals, all kinds of holidays. I mean, for goodness sake, these guys descend from the people who still have like Rogel Dorn's left hand scrimshod. Like, come on. Of course they do this. And we haven't gotten into the Black Templars, and I want to badly. They take this to its logical extreme. They are Dorn's fanaticism. They have so many holy relics. They have so many holy relics.
Because why not?
They have been anywhere and everywhere and taken something.
And
it's so funny.
They crusaded the whole way there.
Yes. And so they unfortunately, they even have a new holiday.
Really?
When they got, okay. For reasons we're literally about to get into, their numbers are going to shrink dramatically.
Okay.
And so when the whole new Space Marine thing came out, the Primaris Marines, a lot of Space Marines were like, I don't.
Just iffy about it.
It ranges from iffy to, are you going to replace me, Dad? Dad, wait, I can be better. I swear, you know? That is the range of emotion when it comes to that. And to be fair,
It's either abandonment issues or what was going through the mind of the first person to ever have surgery done on them.
yeah, just, how much
You're
of a
going to do what to me?
Yeah, that's not going to run. These guys were fully aboard for it. They're like, oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Guilliman. You have given us reinforcements. God, we needed it. They even got a holiday about it. The day of, where is it? Oh, the day of renewal. Yeah.
Good name for the holiday where we just get forces back.
Almost nobody else celebrates their Primaris coming in. Everybody else treats their Primaris as like, ugh, what the hell are you? Or like, it ranges from what the hell are you to like new kid on the block syndrome, taken up to its logical
Where
extreme.
they're getting hazed a bunch.
Oh yeah, and you can imagine Space Marine hazing. It's
Brutal.
It's bad. Now, there's a reason
Think of the swirlies that those arms could perform.
I don't think it's really. I think they're just like going like through toilets like over and over again, like just shattering one, moving on, shattering one, moving on. Like that's got to be how it works. Because there's no way. Like, come on, look at their arms. Look at their arms. Pull up a picture of Karn. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's not a swirly.
No, that's
He's
not
just
a swirly.
force feeding you porcelain. like, yeah, sure. Theoretically, there's some water in there. It's the porcelain that's doing it.
Yeah.
So,
No, I've never had a swirly performed on me. Is it just waterboarding? Is
no,
it just
there's no rag. It's just
Okay.
the very unpleasant feeling of having your face crammed into a toilet.
Okay.
It's not that deep.
Well, there's water all around, and it is literally swirling.
Waterboarding is a very fun. It's a fun twist on drowning that we've invented. This is just standard issue drowning.
Okay.
This is not the version we've decided to. I think you are still technically drowning when you're waterboarding someone. So I suppose it's like
You've heard of drowning? Think new and improved drowning 2.0.
I'll say it's like drowning 1.5.
Okay.
Like drowning 1.5, because I'm fairly certain you are still technically drowning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Water is going in your lungs, and that's at least not good.
Oh, it's terrible. It's bad. Anyway, the reason that they were so horrifically low that they needed these Primaris Marines that badly is because nothing stays good in 40k.
No.
And you're gonna wonder, why do they hate orcs so much?
Why do they hate orcs so much?
Because Rin's world was invaded.
Ah.
Yes. And this is the big thing for them. I mean, they've done a lot of other things. Like they dealt with those aliens who literally have no art but killed one of the coolest space marines ever, the Scythians. Which, oh man, that upsets me. They did a lot in the War of the Beast, so they fought orcs a little bit there. They burned a whole forest down just to get at some Eldar Amish people.
Yeah.
That was a whole thing. That was a little rough, to say the least. They were also a big part of the crusade that they went on right after Goj Vandire's whole Reign of Blood thing, because it was so bad they had to retake worlds. Yeah. Yeah, it's not.
Every time I hear about Goj Vandire, I can't wait to hear about the horror story that is his life when we do a video on him eventually.
We will at some point. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we will.
I mean, we touched on him a little bit when we did the Sisters of Battle, but...
Yeah, but Goj is his own episode. What you need to know is there were so many planets lost, they took about 84 in their time. And in the process, went down to 128 Marines. Yes, they lost 872 Marines, and so out of respect for that great sacrifice, the first company's always kept it 128. And, fun fact, they still try and keep it to the 1,000, so they just rebalance everything to be like roughly accurate, so they stay at the cap of 1,000. This is a trend for them. Like all of Dorn's Sons, they just take so many losses.
Just a lot.
And like all of Dorn's Sons, they're super superstitious. Whenever the first company drops below 128, they're like, that's not good.
This is not good.
Replenish that. Now.
We have to reset the number now.
Yep. And so this would happen again when the orcs invaded Rin's world, and it does not go well.
No.
The Crimson Fist technically started it, by preemptively punching a bunch of orcs on a nearby world.
That'd do it.
They were hosed for this.
Yeah.
They were utterly hosed. 56 out of 84 Marines were gone. And you know how many Marines it takes to accomplish something. 84 is a lot of Marines. Yeah.
And
they lost one of their finest captains in the process.
These are biblical losses.
This one isn't on them because things were going really well. They knew exactly what they were doing with the orcs. They were drawing them away, and they had these... They were running interference on them.
Something came in to disturb this process, didn't it?
No. What they're trying to do is bait out the big orc, because if you take the big orc, you win.
Then you win.
That's always how it works.
They get demoralized and go, well, I'll try again later.
But a scout saw the big orc and wanted to take the shot. And everyone said, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Do not fire. To which the scout fired and didn't kill the orc because it had a shield generator, which gives away all of their positions, their ambush, and does nothing but invigorate the orcs upon seeing their boss survive an assassination. Yep. Yeah. The captain dies for this, by the way, because he's trying to fix this unfixable situation. He dies in the process, and they hold this guy on trial, and he's the first and only Space Marine servitor.
Really?
Yes, they make him into a gun servitor.
They make him into a servitor?
Yeah, so he can serve the chapter until he can redeem the stain on his honor. Yeah, you don't play with Dorn's Sons.
I see the irony of you. So you don't want to follow orders now, do you? Guess what?
Yes, you will only be able to follow orders. And
Compliance.
Dorn's Sons do not play games. They are... you don't want them mad.
No.
You do not want them mad, as you can see. Anyway.
Well, you just had to show me pictures of the Black Templars, and I get it.
Yeah. As you can imagine, the orcs now realize there's a good fight somewhere in the system.
Yep.
And this system was once a part of the Orc Empire. So they invade Rin's world, and It is rough. They're trying to prepare for the orc invasion, but the planetary defense force on this planet, it's a paradise. They're not really moving fast enough.
No.
You know, they're not
they were on vacation time, dude.
Yeah. And then also part of it is we have a whole chapter of Space Marines here. Like, we'll be fine. We're
Yeah.
right. So 84
Not
of them...
expecting what they were about to get hit with.
So 84 of them could not manage. That's fine. We have 916 left.
Yay.
People be good. And
That's
so
fine.
they really did not take this as seriously as they should have.
Mm-hmm.
And they regretted it the moment the orcs showed up and just destroyed their navy.
Yep.
Yep. And after the navy's gone, there's a ground offensive from every direction. I'm not joking. Every direction.
Every direction.
Being led by an orc that has the title of the Arch Arsonist. Like, come on. The Arch Arsonist.
The Arch Arson.
Yes. Now, his first name's Snagrod, so like... But
Snagrod, the Arch Art. I
Right.
love this man.
right? And
Orc.
and
I guess
it's-
they really don't care.
Yeah, and they are holding it down, though, because they are Imperial Fists, until, I kid you not, their targeting system malfunctions, and a missile is fired at their own fortress monastery.
Not good.
No. And you want to know the most infuriating thing? No reason. This is truly just
Happenstance.
bad luck. Just bad luck. There's
The
no...
Lamenters run for their money.
It is just a little bit of the Lamenters, I guess. There's no proof any wrongdoing was there. These guys are buddy with the Inquisition, so it couldn't have been them. Like, this just happened. Maybe another chapter didn't like how buddy they were with the Inquisition and did that. I don't know. All I know is that decimated their numbers.
Yeah.
There is only 2 tiny groups of them that survived, totaling out to 216 of them. Yeah.
That's not good.
Yep. And it's not even like the best of the best who survived. Sometimes it's just Randy's.
It was the guys who were still in Hawaiian t-shirts
Yep.
when we got invaded.
Yep. And after this explosion, they have to march all the way back to the capital, because that's the only defensible position left. And all of them are injured. Yeah. I'm telling you, if these were not Dorn's sons, they're not making it.
When did the Lamenters change colors?
Uh,
When did the Lamenters decide to start painting themselves blue?
never, because their luck does turn around after this.
Okay.
You know, these are Dorn's sons. They do make it back, and it kind of doesn't matter how many of them they are. You told them to hold one position.
And they said, "This is the thing I do. This is my game."
And so with only 200 Space Marines, they hold for 18 months against this tide of orcs, without wavering or losing anybody else.
Kind of insane, actually.
Right?
18 months?
18 months, yeah.
Actually kind of insane.
And one of my favorite characters and a fan favorite, Alessio Cortez, they're like, not chapter master, but buddy to the chapter master, really gets to shine here, because he survived the explosion because he straight up won't die. I mean, look at him. Look at him. He kind of... We do this bit very often at Space Marines. They refuse to die. They will fight until their last breath. Only in death does duty end. No. His duty will never end.
Yeah.
Like, he has straight up let an orc stab him so that he could hack at the orc easier. That's not a joke. He has... It is said that there are only 2 bones left in his body that haven't been broken.
Which ones?
He's been stabbed 17 times. Including in one of the hearts, and he just got back up.
What a manimal.
He was fighting a war boss, and this is such a fun scene. He's fighting a war boss, gets his arm yanked clean off, and his response is to shove a grenade down the war boss's throat for doing that. Very fair response. And everyone goes, "Hey, you're done. Fold. We're calling the apothecaries. It's good." And he just goes, "What's next?" And they're like, "Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Go home."
It is by the mercy of the Emperor alone. You're lucky you didn't lose your life. You got away with just losing your arm." To which he just looks over his shoulder and goes, "I didn't lose it. It's right there." How can you not love this man? It's so good.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. What was this man's name again?
Alessio Cortez.
Okay. Found my new favorite space marine.
He's so much fun. Unfortunately,
I didn't lose my arm. It's right over there.
I can see it. It's clearly right there. Unfortunately, he does kind of go the way of very, very cool, important Marines who cannot die. Vanished fighting the Eldar.
Oh.
Sorry.
So somewhere in the webway with Khan?
No, we actually truly don't know where he is. The chapter master is certain he's still alive, and everyone is certain he's still alive. And frankly, this is kind of the best ending we could have gotten for him, because internally, poor Cortez, every time he survives something like this, is like, I have to top that somehow. My boys are watching. I have to top that somehow.
So
how am I going to top? Like, part of this is he survived, like, maybe getting shot a couple times, and it's now gone all the way to being stabbed 17 times and losing an arm.
So he might just have disappeared to plan his next saga.
And this is a thing that multiple people think, that if Cortez falls, it would be such a morale sink that we almost can't let that happen. Mm-hmm. It would break his brothers if they saw that, because it's unkillable Cortez.
Yeah.
Come on.
He just doesn't die.
Yeah.
What do you mean he died?
So this is actually a very convenient way of dealing with that problem, because if he died,
and they just marked him.
The grief that would grip these guys.
Yeah. It would be better to mark them. I mean, it's the same thing that gets done in Halo. No Spartans are marked KIA. They're always marked MIA.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. That's precisely what we should have to do. And as you can imagine, with this guy there, they're all over the moon. They're in their element, and they are holding their ground until reinforcements show up. And at this point, the orcs were mostly like on the back foot. This had gone from like the full bore green tide to just, there's a good fight here. Why not? And so reinforcements show up, and they manage to fully beat them back. But because these are orcs, they will always exist somewhere on this planet, and it is no longer.
It's no longer a paradise world.
It's no longer a paradise. I want you to know something, by the way. You want to know one of the big things that helped them win against the orcs? Reinforcements came with titans, because the orcs had gargants, which means 216 of these guys were holding against those
against
with no
gargants
counter, with
by
no
themselves.
actual counter. Yes. Yep.
Okay, I went from sad to kind of impressed now.
Do you see why people like them? That is so cool.
You didn't tell me that part.
I saved it for the end.
That saves the entire thing. Goddamn. Okay.
Yep.
Good job.
And so nowadays, like Rin's World, there's battles constantly happening. Like there's one where they just find a bunch of orcs just hanging out in the mountains and raiding.
I was just about to say, do they just find a bunch of orcs on the beach just like lounging around? Wearing tattered Hawaiian shirts, sipping cocktails out of some form of rusty, like...
God, I wish. It's more them just being general menaces and the Crimson Fist responding with extreme prejudice, which then rallies every orc. Because these went from disparate warbands to, oh my God, it's a proper fight.
It's a fight now.
Yeah, and so they get hosed again. Mm-hmm. And this time they're saved not by Imperial reinforcements, but Eldar. The Eldar show up, save them, and go, you can never understand our elven ways, and then leave. That is not a...
That's the most Eldar thing you could have just told me.
You know, they look just like us. They sound just like us. And really, the only advantage they have is they can straight up see the future. We could understand your elven ways, for goodness sake.
You cannot understand my elven ways, as they do the Squidward dance.
Yeah, pretty much. And so they're like, why? What? Why? And they're just like, nope, you won't get it. Bye. Yep. You
pulling a full Joker you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, no, properly. And that is where they were left. Doubly hosed, saved by the Eldar, which has got to sting.
That's got to sting a lot.
And they were fully about to be folded into another chapter. Because this is all before the 13th Black Crusade and the Indomitus Crusade, which are kind of really big ones.
This is a really bad timing to lose most of your forces.
That absolutely hammer. Mm-hmm. I'm talking hammer your forces, right? And so before they were about to be folded in, their chapter master, Pedro, has to go speak to Gilliman. Mm-hmm. And It's first of all, look at him.
Yeah.
He looks really cool.
He's so tough looking. He's like starting to circle around to chaos.
Right?
That's the thing.
By the way, there's so much fun art of. He's so beloved. He's so cool. But the thing I want to bring up about him specifically is he was best friends with Alessio Cortez, obviously, and he was. How do I? I'm trying to think of how to show you how far up this creek he was. He just came back from a battle. He is super duper grimy, and he's running late to a meeting with Gilliman, where he's very, very, very positive that he's about to get folded.
Physically or logistically?
No. He's just like, Gilliman's just going to look at him and go, "You're absolute failures. I'm sorry. We just have to.
You're just going to get wrapped up into something else and we're going to...
Yeah. You guys keep getting devastated.
Tie it up with a nice little bow.
You seem fully incapable of going beyond 500 in number. This is just unacceptable." And so he's... To be fair to him, this time it wasn't orcs, it was demons that did it. But still, point still stands. Dude, you're down to 200 again.
You keep doing this. What is wrong with you?
Yes, and so he's ready. He's just kind of... It's very fun to see a Space Marine nervous, frankly. And when he sees Gilliman just...
I'd imagine the whole like leg bounce out of a Space Marine would rattle an entire like ship bulkhead.
Cracking.
It's just pum 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 pum.
Yeah. But basically, Gilliman looks at him and goes... Dude, you're exactly what Dawn would want out of his sons. You guys just keep taking beatings and keep on going. There is literally nothing more he could want. Here's some Primaris Marines.
That is the sweetest thing he could do to them.
And
that is so sweet that a tear was almost brought to my eye.
Pedro is smiling for days. Pedro is smiling for days after this. He's geeking over this. He's over the moon. He got to see a Primarch, and he congratulated him, and told him Dad would be proud. Like... What? You can't touch him.
That's kind of awesome.
You can't touch him. He's on cloud 9 right now. And so they are very, very ecstatic about their current situation. He is a really, really, really old Space Marine. Like, not old
Not Dante
age-wise.
old, but...
No, like old in our time. Like, he's from Rogue Trader.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's our 29th chapter master, but he's been around for a while. And his main thing is character development.
Yeah?
Yes. Character development. His moral compass constantly develops as he's learning more and more about... Because it's really easy to disconnect yourself as a Space Marine from most things.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be real. If you're a Space Marine, you're washing most things. You know? And so he's been doing a good job in kind of developing a moral compass to the point where he's got a very good sense of honor and duty. And it's tempering that with, you know, not stomping out pacifist Space Marines. You know?
Trying to recover from that reputation.
Yeah, it's that kind of a thing where you want to be honorable and you want to be loyal, and sometimes those two things intersect and are at odds with each other. What does one do? And he's gotten very, 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 very good about dealing with that. Him and Cortez form a really fun situation because he's very analytical and he's very reserved, whereas you know Cortez. So you have a really like fun hot and cold situation going on there.
Good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, schizophrenic cop. Like the bad cops underselling Cortez.
Kim Kitsuragi and spoiler alert, Harrier Dubois.
Yep. Yep, that is very, very accurate. And the Eldar are the ones who came and helped him specifically and spoke to him specifically. And so maybe there's something going on there. Maybe this is going to lead to a whole arc where he kind of regrets the whole burning of the Eldar Amish for no good reason. Well, I mean, there was a good reason. The reason being they're not in the Imperium. That's good enough reason.
Well, good enough for the Imperium.
That's good enough for the Imperium. That's how they operate, right? So maybe that'll be something we pick up later. Unfortunately, Pedro's just kind of been sidelined a little bit.
Unfortunate.
Which kind of sucks.
Give him more stories, please.
But the thing about him is he's ripe to be like... He's in the same league as like the Dantes, the Marneus Calgars. You know, these Space Marines who have been through so much.
They're storied.
They are like... They're a cut above even regular chapter masters. Like he has taken so many losses. He's gotten very, very, very good at knowing precisely where to strike and then immediately run away. Like, you can only be force-fed so much humble pie before you recognize your exact strength.
Getting
And he's
good at
eaten-
guerrilla warfare by accident.
Yeah, yeah. Well, consider how terrifying that is. The master of siege and fortify, who's very good at guerrilla warfare, and uses a double bolter named Dorn's arrow.
Double bolter?
Yep. It's a rapid-fire one, too.
Double bolter.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the weaponry of the Space Marines. They come in twos.
And there's this, gosh, I'm forgetting because it's been forever since I read this, but if I remember
The
correctly-
monster can guns, not really. I know it's smaller than that. Fire in double.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got one, and it's right there in his gauntlet. Hold on. See? Two of them.
For when you want something really dead.
Yeah. There's also this really fun moment in Rune's world, I think, God, it's been so long, where after yet another orc siege, he actually bothers to take the time to like go help pick up like a mother and kids out of rubble and stuff, and it's really, really touching stuff. It's so good. He's so beloved. I like the Crimson Fist all the way around, but what do you think of him?
I found my favorite character. You've shown me
Cortez?
my favorite character.
Really? He's your favorite Space Marine?
You lost your arm. Go home. I didn't lose it.
That's
Right over there.
That's right there.
I love that so much.
So much fun. And all of them have that to some extent too. That's the main thing. Plus, I'm not going to lie, the blue and red looks good.
It does.
The blue and red. The blue
Really,
with the red, like, oh.
really good. Yeah.
It just looks very good. It's very fitting because I'm going to be real. I'm fairly certain that's not paint. I'm fairly certain that's just the result of
Whatever he's gotten up to.
whatever he's getting up to. Their workplace, you know? And so they're very cool. They're very fun. I want more. I want more.
Please.
Dorn's-
Games Workshop, please.
Well, the problem with Dorn's Sons is the Black Templars suck up a lot of room.
Yeah.
Like, they suck up a lot of the
I mean, I
air.
think one of the first legions that I saw was the Black Templars.
Yeah, and so it's because they're very, very cool. I'm not gonna lie, and they also embody a lot of, like, you've noticed this whole episode. They have a lot of very similar traits to the Black Templars. They've just taken it to a different level.
Level, yeah.
A different level. If I remember correctly, they also use Emperor's Champions. Yeah. I swear, yeah, remember the Emperor's Champions? Those people who put on that all black armor with the sword and they have a vision to go challenge the most important person.
And then they point the sword.
It's so
Sigismund style.
cool. Yeah. They still use those to this day. Yeah, they're super fun. I absolutely love them. But that does bring an end to this episode on the Crimson Fists. Remember, new poll, new options. It is the Death Watch, Terminators, the Dark Mechanicum, and the Ecclesiarchy. 3 of them are going to get made. 1 of them won't exist, I suppose, or make it to the loser's bracket. You guys get to choose as always. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and thank you for being you.
This episode has now been fisted crimsonly.
Here comes the Crimson Fists.